Hi, everybody. Matt Bernier, joined by Woodbine analyst Jeff Bratt, taking a look at the Saturday Woodbine play of the day for June the 30th. It also happens to be the DRF Bets race of the day. It's the big one up at Woodbine. It is the Queen's Plate, $1 million purse. Let's take a look at the field. You can head on over to the Race of the Day page on DRF.com. You can download free formulator past performances and go through the entire field. Jeff and I are going to take a look at a couple different things, the Timeform US Pace Projector, as well as some of the favorites and possibly a couple of interesting longer prices in this spot. Jeff, first and foremost, let's talk a little bit about the pace situation. 1.25 miles on the Tapeta surface. I think there's quite a bit of speed in here, and it seems like the Timeform US Pace Projector agrees. Where do you stand?
I agree, especially with Silent Poet now coming into the mix of things, and I think as well with the outside runner, Rose's Vision, drawing not a great post. For me, he has to go from that outside draw, so I think he's going to be part of the pace setup. You've got Ingy, who's probably going to be right there in the mix of things. I do think that pace is not a concern. If you're an off-the-pace horse in this race, I think you'll have plenty of pace to run at in this event.
And the pace projector has the 3-horse Ingy out there, as you made mention, out on the front, and then the 10 and the 12 sitting in just behind, but a red bar indicating a fast, lively pace. Let's talk about the favorites in this spot. The morning line favorite at odds of 5-2 is the number 10 Telekinesis, going out for Mark Casse, Patrick Husbands. This horse really hasn't done a heck of a lot wrong. We're going to take a look at the stretch run of the plate trial, his most recent start. And Jeff, your overall thoughts on this performance?
You know, I've kind of been mixed about it because I thought maybe he should have pulled away late in this race, but then you look back and you compare it to what the time was like in the Oaks and the fact that maybe he wasn't 100% crank going into the play trial. And maybe it was just more than anything a workmanlike effort. He was able to pull off that win. He won by a length and 3/4. You know, he was able to get away with a rather easy lead up front. I don't think that's going to be the case coming up on Saturday. Now, does he necessarily need the lead? I don't think he does. I think he might be a little bit better having a target to chase in there. He's got to be better, but I think he can be better. And don't forget as well, going into that play trial, he had a really fast work of 45 and changed. I just wonder if maybe that took a bit of a starch out of him, and maybe he didn't have as much left in the gas tank. And you'll notice that his work coming into this race was a lot slower, 49 and 1. So he's definitely going in the right direction right now.
You alluded to the fact that it doesn't feel like he absolutely needs the lead to be at his best. From a price standpoint, 5-2 on the morning line, do you think he goes off as the favorite come post time?
I think he does, but would I take 5-2 on him? You know, that's the question, because there's just so many other options in this race too. And, you know, because I don't think we learned a lot between the plate trial and the Oaks because the time was so similar. The horse we expect to run well did run well. It's not like anybody jumped up with a superb performance on that day either. So, you know, nobody has really stamped themselves as the top of the page as of yet in this 3-year-old division.
Well, let's talk about the two fillies that will be in this spot. They both exit the Woodbine Oaks. That's the number 11 Wonder Dote, the number 7 Dixie Moon. The stretch run, it was a bit of a pitched battle. But, Jeff, you and I have talked back and forth off camera about the fact that it feels like Wonder Dote has really fallen into a bit of a bad stretch here with a bit of a hanging problem. The blinkers go on. Maybe that alleviates the issue.
And I think the distance helps her as well. You look at the pedigree, she's got the Medaglia Doro factor as well. So because of that, I really am comfortable with her going 1.25 miles. She made a huge mistake coming out of the starting gates. She hopped at the start, then she got squeezed as well. But you just keep building excuses for this horse. And the Kentucky Oaks say, okay, the horse was interfered with down the stretch. Maybe that cost her the win. The bottom line is this. She's winless in 6 starts so far this season. So I do like the fact that the equipment change is being made here today. I like the fact that blinkers are going on. I like the fact that she gets reunited with Velasquez as well, who knows her very, very well too. So I think that I'm saying this, and I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm going to give her another shot coming up on the big day coming up on Saturday.
If you're a handicapper that factors weight into the equation, it's also worth noting the two fillies get a 5-pound allowance. As far as Dixie Moon is concerned, she won the Woodbine Oaks. I have to be honest, I hate seeing horses late in races pop back to their left lead. And now the thought of going an extra 1/8 of a mile is a terrifying circumstance for me. And you factor in the potential pace. Where do you land as far as Dixie Moon is concerned?
And the extra distance. I think I'm really worried about the extra distance with her. You know, I think that like a 1.16 mile, 1.8, that might be the max for as far as she wants to go. And I think eventually she might even be better on turf than she is on the synthetic. You know, she is going to get what I think is going to be a decent trip in here because she's got a good post. She's learned to relax, which is absolutely huge for her future. But I'm going to try and beat her coming up this weekend.
So we've talked about the three favorites in here. How about we talk about a couple horses that perhaps are a little bit, I don't want to say outsiders, but they're going to be better prices than the top three in here. You're interested in one of Graham Motion's horses, the number 4, Strike Me Down.
So I wanted to talk to you about the tail of the cat because it looked as if that Strike Me Down was well on his way to a really easy win. He opens up 2 lengths. He's just cruising. You're right into the windows if you bet this horse. And all of a sudden, this one gets nailed. Halfway down the stretch, it looks like, uh-oh, I might be in deep water after all. So I wonder if it's maybe a bit of a tricky horse to ride. You've got to time your move perfectly in here. The post position draws the old Kentucky Derby style, where you find out where you're going to select first. And these connections, they had a chance to draw really early in this race. I think they had the 6th choice, if memory serves me correct. And they elected to draw near the inside, post position number 4. I think that Ortiz is going to try and cover this horse up for as long as possible. The synthetic win here at Woodbine, it doesn't look like a great victory, but it was a really windy day on that day. I just think more than anything, this horse is extremely green, but has got a ton of talent and at a big price is very playable.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% about that tail of the cat. It's also worth noting that was his first time facing winners really after graduating. I know he ran in that Cup and Saucer, so technically there were probably some winners in there, but that was his first start really facing winners as a winner, and I thought he ran just fine. And the fact that he was able to open up the way that he did, maybe he just got a little bit goofy and kind of idled out there and let that other horse come and get him. At 10-1, you could certainly do worse. I'm interested in the horse drawn just to his outside, the number 5, Silent Poet. This is a horse, okay, going to have a lot thrown at him in a short amount of time, stretching out from 7/8 of a mile to 1.25 miles, going back over to the synthetic surface. But I have to be honest, I've been very impressed with both of his starts here as a 3-year-old. And by the wagering, he's always been fancied. He's been favored in every one of his starts, 30-1 in the morning line. Not sure you get that, but I'm more interested in your thoughts on where he's going to be positioned in the run, because the stretch out and distance, I've got to assume he's going to be forwardly placed.
I think he'll be forwardly placed as well. But the good news for you, if you like this horse, is I don't think he's a runaway horse. I think he's very rateable. He got himself into a jackpot of a spot last time out, and he was able to overcome that. He was very patient. I mean, for a young horse to overcome what he came in that last race was really impressive. I was actually talking with a couple of friends of mine about this horse the other day, and I said, you know what? I think he might be one of the horses with the most upside in the race. But as you said, is he ready now to go all the way out in distance to 1.25 miles? That's the toughest assignment. But you're going to get a big number on this one. And the connections have had a ton of success in this race recently.
And not just going out to 1.25 miles. He's never gone 2 turns in his life. There's a lot being thrown at this horse in a really short amount of time. But I agree with you. I do wonder, maybe it's not Saturday, but down the road, he may be one of the horses with the most upside in this entire race. So, Jeff, you kind of alluded to it. It's pick time. You're going to go with Wonder Godot. Give her another opportunity.
I am. I just, like I said, I'm not worried about the distance. I like the equipment change. The fact that she's winless so far this season does worry me tremendously. Fillies have done very well in this race in the past. The fillies might be better than the boys yet again this season. You look at Dixie Moon and Wonder Godot. I mean, they were the top 2 finishers in the Oaks, and they show up as key contenders in this race itself. So you might call me on Sunday and say, Jeff, you got suckered in yet again, but I'm going to go towards Wonder Godot. I beat her at Dixie Moon the other day, but I'm going to go in her corner coming up on the Queen's Plate on Saturday.
Well, I tell you what, if you lose, then I'm going to lose as well, because I'm going back. I'm going with Wonder Godot as well.
All right.
I think it's a situation going back to the Demoiselle as a 2-year-old at Aqueduct. That race was run like a turf race. They crawled early and they sprinted home, and she's always acted like a horse. And I know she'd only run on synthetic one other time, but she just looked like that kind of filly, and they had her on the dirt, and look, it paid off. She ran second in the Kentucky Oaks. I can't argue with that, but it just feels like she has the ability. She just hasn't put it all together. Now perhaps the blinker's going on. That gets her to kind of get the light bulb to turn on. The distance, I agree with you 100%. I think 1.25 miles is what she wants, and I'm not convinced that some of these other boys and girls really would appreciate that. We'll find out what we get for a price. She's 3-1 on the morning line. Jeff and I are both going to go with the number 11, Wonder Godot, to win this year's Queen's Plate. The Queen's Plate is the Saturday Woodbine play of the day. It's also the DRF Bets Race of the Day. Again, head on over to the Race of the Day page on drf.com. Download your free formulator past performances. Schedule post time for race number 10 on Saturday. The Queen's Plate is 5:36 Eastern. Best of luck.